Okay, good.
Oh no, you look fabulous.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
I'm so happy. This is such a full circle moment, I feel like right now, because I just introduced you to Lady, and I hear your voice still to this day because, well, I'll get deeper into it, but basically, the only thing that Lady calms down for, if she's having a very tough time, which is very rare, is through the affirmations. And it's so, I can't wait to teach everyone about what the affirmations were and what we did. But what was so wild was after I delivered, when I got in the car, our first car ride home, I was so panicked, her being in the car seat. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, she was uncomfortable. I'm like, did we do this right? And she just started screaming and wailing. And she wasn't wailing like that at the hospital. So I was really nervous. And I was like, oh my God, we don't have a sound machine on us. We don't have anything. What do I do? And I thought, I know what I need right now. I need to hear affirmations. Maybe that will help her. And we played those affirmations on repeat for 30 minutes. And the second the noise started and the sound started, she calmed down and relaxed. And she just stared at me, watching me while it was playing. So it's our lifesaver. And so I will get into how this affirmation came about, but I just want to say I am so happy and so thankful that Alisha Tamburri is joining us today. Alisha, I have spoken about you more times than you can possibly imagine on the podcast already, in other interviews with Dr. Elliot Berlin, other moms who practice hypnobirthing. And so for people to actually hear your story and more about hypnobirthing today is just, it's so special. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, so I have to tell everyone just a quick backstory in case, they haven't heard all the episodes where I've talked about how I met you. But basically, my doctor, who unfortunately passed, Dr. Jay Goldberg, was incredible. And I had gone to his office. And the first time I had met him, my husband Sturgis saw a book on his wall that said hypnobirthing. And we're very much into hypnosis and transcendental meditation and anything that we could possibly get our hands on. He said, I think this might be for you. Let's Google. So we started Googling what hypnobirthing was. We ordered the book and I started looking for a hypnobirthing teacher here in Los Angeles. And I wanted to get the best of the best. And your name came up in articles, in magazines. And I searched long and hard trying to get your information. I finally got a hold of you. I left a voice message. I was like, oh my God, I hope this is her. Like, I need to start working and learning my hypnobirthing immediately. And lucky enough for me, it was you. And I took your incredible course. And it was just truly life-changing. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I use it still, the practice of the hypnobirthing, in my every single day life, with baby and without baby, just in general. If I'm having a manic episode or feeling, icky, I'll listen to an affirmation, or I'll listen to something calming, or think about my breathing techniques. So that being said, how, Alisha, did you get involved and become this guru of hypnobirthing?
Well, I had been a hypnotherapist for a very long time, and I went to a workshop or a seminar on birthing. And it was everything I believed in, everything I felt in my heart and soul and mind and body. And it was such an amazing experience, and that I went up to the instructor or the seminar leader, and I asked who her instructor was, her hypnotherapy instructor, who was my mentor. So my mentor was hers as well. And I said, I want to learn this because it's everything I believe in. And I work with women privately, not with the partners.
Mhm.
that are scared or nervous or stressed or overwhelmed. And so I did the training. I was one of the first hypnobirthing practitioners in Southern California. So I've been teaching for many, many years. So I did the training,
Wow.
and it was everything I believed in. And I had drug-free, pain-free births, so I knew it was possible.
Mhm.
And so I just kind of fell into it by going to this lecture seminar on birthing.
Mm.
And back then, no one, no doctors or midwives, nobody really knew what hypnobirthing was because it hadn't come out quite yet.
Right. Right.
So
And
I
I
would
think that's
do,
what's so fabulous is like it was this like private thing that was so quiet and only talked about really in Europe, and you are one of the ones that brought it here.
so I would do free workshops at Babies R Us over the weekends and meet with doctors and midwives and have all these wonderful meetings to introduce hypnobirthing. So I was doing a lot of demos and
Mhm.
workshops to introduce what hypnobirthing is.
Mhm.
And so I felt like I was one of the pioneers in getting hypnobirthing out into the world because I was so passionate about women being able to have such a positive experience and for the
Mhm.
partners to have a positive experience and for the babies and the children to be a lot calmer. So it
Mhm.
just resonated with me completely. I just thought, wow, this is an amazing program and course. And I was very, very excited and I couldn't wait to teach it. And it was interesting because there was one man in the group. And
Mm.
so when the course was over, our training was over, he had contacted me. And I thought we were supposed to teach together, a man and a
Mm.
woman as a couple,
Oh
because
wow.
our instructor taught with her husband. So
Oh
I
yeah.
asked, his name was Matt, I asked him if he wanted to teach together. And it was so funny because he never planned to teach. He just wanted to take the course because he was a very good hypnotherapist and was into a lot of interesting things. So we got together, and for a year, we taught together.
Wow.
So he would teach certain parts, I would teach certain parts. So the very first course we ever did was at my home with I think it was a couple that he was friendly with that were pregnant, and so we worked with them together, and then I think we attended their birth together as well. So so we started teaching, and
Wow.
then I started teaching at a place called A Mother's Haven that's still there and it's still open. I believe it's in Tarzana or Encino. It's called A Mother's Haven. And so Matt taught with me, and we actually started at my home, and then
Oh
I
my God.
expanded out into Silver Lake and Beverly Hills and LA and Sherman Oaks, all these different locations. So it
Oh my gosh.
started
And
years
how
ago.
many people have you taught, would you say, like estimate, like how many do you think, how many partners have you or moms? I'm sure it's too
Wow.
many to count at this point.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Wow. I mean, it's such a magical experience. Now, can you give a very like pretty basic idea of what hypnobirthing is for those who have no idea what we're talking about right now?
I like to call it the method to ease fear and pain in labor.
Mm.
So, when we're fearful, we're stressed or scared, our muscles constrict and we tighten up. And now this little baby in utero is trying to move down, but the muscles are tight.
Mhm.
So the whole goal is relaxation because when we're fearful, we get tense. When we're tense, the muscles constrict. And now the baby's trying to move down against tight muscles.
Mhm.
Oxygen is limited to the baby, blood flow is limited, everything gets tightened. So the goal is just to relax,
Mhm.
relaxation. So we use different breathing techniques. hypnosis, light touch massage, just a lot of different techniques. And the parents get different birthing tracks to listen to.
Mhm.
And to me, what's so much fun is in the second class, the partners learn how to put the moms into hypnosis.
Right, right, right.
And that's so much fun.
I think that was Sturgis's favorite part, was hypnotizing me and going, okay, bye-bye. Now you're
And I
relaxed.
know
Now you're calm.
it's really cute how the partners really get into it. The dads, or if it's two moms, the moms. So it's designed where it can be two moms, a single mom, two dads. I actually was very excited. Recently, I had two dads, and they had
Oh,
a hypnobirthing mom who had given birth. I'm trying to remember if it's, I think, three times. She had her own
wow.
children, and then she became a surrogate for two dads.
Oh, how
And so,
lovely.
so I got to work with the two dads and this mom. And
Oh,
so they had,
wow.
I know, I thought that was so lovely that, and the deal was she wouldn't accept any payment for being a surrogate.
Oh my gosh.
She
Oh my
just, she
gosh.
wanted to help these parents to be.
Oh my gosh. Bless that woman. She's an earth angel. That's incredible.
Yes.
And this is also something that you could do if you were, on your own as well. I mean, it's not just for, partners. And like you said, and I'm really happy that you're sharing that, because I think a lot of people, would hear hypnobirthing and hear, especially me talking about it. I always say, oh yeah, my husband was able to, hypnotize me and do the certain things. This is something that you can do on your own. And I say this because two of the women that were in our class, they had partners, but they took the course more or less on their own in our group, because they were busy and couldn't do it. So there were certain hypnosis and certain touch mechanisms that you would teach them to do on themselves in case the husband was not there, or in case the partner wasn't there, or a mother or a father or someone. And so I think that that's what's so nice. It's about finding the calmness within yourself. The affirmations that I always talk about is, it's probably, I don't know, 12 minutes, the affirmation sounds, right? I think that's what it was. And it helped me so much through my entire first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and it has continued 4 months, 5 months, 6 months postpartum. It has helped me so much because it's my internal dialogue, and it was internally calming me down, especially living with the bipolar disorder, getting off my medication, and not being back on my medication since breastfeeding too. I wanted to wait till I finished breastfeeding. I've had to find other coping mechanisms and other tools and outlets to help me balance my brain, balance the chemicals. And it is absolutely mind-boggling to me that a hypnobirthing affirmation talking about breathing the baby down, one with the baby knows what to do, you release control. All of these little things are helping me now in my life and continuing on. I cannot push it enough. And when I meet other hypnobirthing moms, when we talk about affirmations, it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking about? You listen to the recordings too. You still do. It's like this kind of, this like sorority almost. It's this sisterhood to all the like hypnobirthing moms who have been through it together. I just think it's so miraculous. And now when you had your own births, did you do hypnobirthing, or was this something that you learned after you had given birth to your own children?
Well, there was no hypnobirthing back then. So one of my daughters on her next birthday, I can't believe this, is actually going to be 50.
Oh my
So
gosh, no way.
so all they had back then was Lamaze. So I did a Lamaze class, but I know you and Sturgis, you and your husband are meditators, and I was also initiated into transcendental meditation as well. After that daughter, my first daughter, was born, some friends watched her so that we could go and be initiated into transcendental meditation.
Wow.
And what was so exciting about that, my daughter, she was a baby, and she spoke very young, and she would say, "Mommy, meditate." And she would sit on
Oh,
my lap and
stop. Oh,
and for 20 minutes, in the morning and the evening, and meditate. And she
wow.
was the only child that was allowed into the meditation hall because she didn't make a sound. so, so coming back to your original question, I used more of meditation because there was no hypnobirthing back
Right.
then. So hypnobirthing has been around for over 25 years now, but it was not available way back when I had my children. So
Wow.
my children
And
are
it's,
born
oh no, go on. Your
70.
children were born what?
They were born in, I'm guessing now, 73 and 75. So there was
Wow.
no hypnobirthing back then. So the fact that I could have such beautiful births,
Right.
and the second birth was less than 2.5 hours. And I read a book called Childbirth Without Fear by Dr. Grantley Dick Reed. And that's the book that the hypnobirthing course is based on. So I thought,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that
Right.
interesting that I would end up reading a book that was so helpful to me that hypnobirthing is based on. So
Wow.
that's what I
Wow.
used. I used hypnosis, my own meditation, and I had such a beautiful, the first birth was so amazing, and I was told I couldn't have children, I couldn't get pregnant. So I was ecstatic. And the birth went so beautifully that for a year after the birth, I would relive the whole experience because it was so amazing.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
And then with
That's so
the next
wild.
one, I was disappointed that it was over so fast.
Yeah,
It
because
was
you were
less than
ready
two
for
and a
more.
half hours. I know. It's like, oh, that's it.
You're
So,
like, well, do I have another one just so I can try it again?
so I
Wow.
now have
And,
grandkids.
and that's what I was going to ask. So now, since you have grandchildren, were your daughters, did they have hypnobirths for their children, or were they not aware of it yet at that time?
Yes, yes. I was their doulas, and yeah, my older daughter always says she couldn't have made it through without me, but of course she could have. And I
Yeah.
almost didn't get another doula for my next daughter. Um, she's a federal agent, and I'm very, very proud of her. I'm a type
Wow.
A personality. So originally, she was going to rush off to the hospital as soon as labor started. But after she and her husband took the hypnobirthing course, everything changed.
Mm.
And she had a beautiful birth, an amazing birth. And I was so proud of her. And I did bring on the other doula for me, not for my
Mm.
daughter, but for me. So I had a doula for me. And
Your
I
own
almost
emotional
didn't,
support.
yes, yes. And what was so good about it, this daughter didn't want any photos or didn't want it filmed. And my son in law said to Milena, the other doula, to film the birth. So
Mm.
she filmed the birth, which my daughter did not want any photos or any filming. And then the next day, when I talked to her, she said, "Mom, did Milena film the birth?" And I said, "Yes." And I thought, "Oh no." And she said, "Oh, I can't wait to see it." And then when
Oh.
her godmother came out, she showed it to her godmother because she was so proud of herself.
Wow. Wow. And did she have a midwife or did she have a proper doctor? Because I know that there's so many women that have midwives and doulas that are, I guess what I mean is, you know, when you hear hypnobirthing, the first reaction that I would get from a lot of people is, oh, are you not having it in a hospital? Are you having a water birth? Are you having it at home? You know, do you just have a midwife? Do you just have a doula? And for me, it was, I had, you know, the Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and I also had my hypnobirthing. I think I did the best of both worlds. But what about your daughter? Did she decide to have it at home, like with her midwife, and not go the traditional route as well? Or did she do both?
She was pretty much leaving it up to me because she knew this was my field of expertise.
Right.
And so while I was in the process of looking for different midwives and talking to different midwives, they were all so wonderful about wanting to support her. I've come to find out that she was having a midwife because of me. So I said, what do you really want? And she said, whatever you think. So long story short, I got her a wonderful hypnobirthing doctor. And I love Cedars-Sinai. They're very hypnobirthing friendly.
Very.
And she loved the doctor, and he was wonderful. And so she had a great birth, and she was also very happy with her prenatal visits because he would see her on a Saturday because she has a government car. So she couldn't really travel much during the work week. So he would open up the office on Saturday. So she got to be with the celebrities. She was with one of the Kardashians in the waiting room and seeing different other celebs that would come in either through the back door or on the weekend.
That is so funny. Oh my God, that's fabulous.
So she had an amazing birth, and I was so proud of her. And little Kingston is now 10.
Oh my gosh.
The grandkids are getting older.
Yeah.
And yes, I was with my daughters, and it was such a rewarding, beautiful, beautiful experience.
Oh, I can only imagine. Is it so fun for you? And also, it must be kind of sad too that I feel such a connection to you, and you have helped me so much because of you and Dr. Berlin. You helped so much prepare me for my birth after the passing of Dr. Goldberg, especially of helping me find, a doctor who could help deliver, within 2 weeks, and all these wonderful things. And you and Dr. Berlin, I just trusted so much to really have my back. And I can't thank you enough for that because I felt so protected, and I felt so secure, and I felt so sure of what I wanted my birth to be, and allowing to let go at the same time, no matter what happened. But it must be so beautiful for you because you have these groups that you do these sessions with, and it's, 6-week courses, right? Was it 6 week or 8 weeks? I forgot if we did every
it's
6
5 weeks.
Oh, 5.
The course is 5 weeks.
So you do these courses and you meet these new couples or singles or whomever it may be. You must feel so connected to them, which is so lovely because you're part of this process with them. And it's like this whole story, but it must be sad if you don't keep in touch with them afterwards because you're like, wait, but what happened?
It's very exciting to be able to watch the families grow.
Yeah.
And the next baby, they come back and they'll take the course again, or they'll do a private class. This evening, I'm getting to see my friend Milena, who had hypnobirthing twins last December. So I love seeing the twins. So she birthed vaginally, and they're beautiful little children, a little boy, a little girl, and they'll be a year in December.
Wow.
So we also did a fertility session. I'm also a hypnofertility hypnotherapist as well. So what's so exciting?
What does that mean with the fertility? How do you do that?
So any of the parents that are challenged with getting pregnant, I work with fertility.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yes, and it's really exciting. And I would say 95% of all the parents that I've worked with have children now. So I'm ecstatic and very happy. I love working with fertility because then they get pregnant, then they're in the hypnobirthing course. They usually do a private as well. And then quite often I'm at the birth. So in my current class, there's a lovely woman and her partner. So we work together on some different things. And then she decided it was time to find her life partner. And
Yeah.
so we worked on that, and she's she's now engaged to be married.
Oh my
And
gosh, Alisha, the matchmaker.
it was again so phenomenal and so exciting. That is one of my other favorite things to do, is to find a partner for someone, for a man or a woman. And so I got an email saying, "Do you want to come to the wedding?" And then next was, "I'm pregnant," and now they're in the hypnobirthing course.
Oh my
So
gosh, how lovely. Oh my
it
gosh.
goes
Wow.
full circle. And there's also in this current course, there's a single mom who's pregnant with twins. So,
Oh.
and she's in, I believe, in Georgia. So I have some people that are on the East Coast, people in LA, people all over the US, which is really kind of exciting.
That's so special.
So,
I don't think that people can even, I mean, I know that there are some people that understand, but truly, it is very hard to wrap your head around the power that the mind really truly does have. I mean, because we're looking at what you're doing is teaching people how to, use their mind, use their emotions, use their mental health and their mental capacity to be able to find love, help with fertility, help with their birthing process, help with the raising of the children process, help with their own being and curing, illnesses and diseases. I mean, it's unbelievable the power that the mind can really have over your entire body. And I feel like I preach that all the time, but I want to keep preaching that because I wanted to share, a little bit about my birth story. And the most important thing that you always would say is, you can be as prepared as you possibly can, and you can have all the tools, but you also have to let go and go with the flow, because you never know what is going to happen. And that is, what happened with me is I had I think 17, 18 hour labor, which was, I guess for you, that would be very long because you have short labors, but for the other, not your first. Your first was long. So if compared to the second, that was long. But I really, truly was so prepared and so thankful for that, because every moment I knew what was going on. There was not anything that was surprising to me. I was like, oh, I'm going to feel this. Okay, this happened. Okay, you know what? My body is hurting and the contractions are starting. I'm going to have Sturgis do a light touch massage of the number 8. And that is when he literally made his hands into the number 8 in my lower back, and it cancels out the pain, and it distracts, right? Is that what it does? It sort of distracts the nerves.
It releases yes. Yeah, exactly. It releases the endorphins, relaxes the body. So the whole goal in birthing, or hypnobirthing, is just relaxation. Yep. And there's not a whole lot to do. It's like getting out of here, getting out of the mind, and letting the body and the baby do everything. So
exactly.
Less is more. Less is more.
Less is more. And it's so, I mean, it was painful at the time when I was going through it, but I videotaped some of the contractions because I wanted to see what it was like. So I put my camera on my phone and I let it play in the living room. And it was when I was probably 2 hours before I went to the hospital. So I was quite far along at this point. And just to see the progression of 3 different contractions, of how painful I kept getting, and how the surges, see, my mind's not even thinking. Surges were getting more and more, like, my whole body was getting into it. And the thing that I learned the most about my birth story was I have heard so many stories of women saying, it's so instinctual. You're going to almost get animalistic. You're going to make noises that you didn't know you're ever going to make. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Like, I'm sure, but I'm not quite sure how far I would get, in that wild, aspect. And I am telling you, the like groans that I was making, because I never screamed. I never wanted it to be an angry birth because I never wanted my baby to feel like I was angry during my birthing process. Because my mom, she didn't make a sound. She just was breathing through her pregnancy, through her birth. And I always remembered that, like how wonderful that was, how I came out in a calm environment, not in an angry, upsetting environment, you know? Because no matter if you're a baby or an adult, wants to get screamed like, you know, F you, why you did this to me, blah, blah, blah. No one wants to hear that when they're coming out. So I made sure of it, but I truly had these animal instincts of my whole body would just fully get into these surges, and I'd be like, oh, and make these weird noises. And I'm telling you, my neighbors must have thought I was insane for what was going on, because we had the windows and doors open, because it was June 20th. It was real hot that day. And it was a full body experience. But what happened was I went to the hospital, and my pain was so excruciating the entire time. And I couldn't understand why my mind couldn't get over it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't understand. I was like, I've practiced this. I shouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling. And I was feeling only in my back. I wasn't feeling stomach cramps. I wasn't feeling like kind of that period feeling or those kinds of surges. I was just in pain in my back and paralyzing pain. And it got to the point where I couldn't get comfortable on my birth ball. I couldn't get comfortable on the bed. I couldn't get comfortable standing up. The only time I was comfortable was in the shower when the water was running on my back, which was lovely for the time. But when I got to the hospital, they didn't allow me to take a shower because I had been so far along at this point. And I was not panicking, but I was secretly inside going, oh no, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel like this is the normal, I guess, what is normal when it comes to your birth, but it didn't feel normal in the sense where it didn't feel like, oh, I'm having cramps in my stomach. She's trying to get her way out of me. It didn't feel like that. It felt like my back. And I was spasming, and I would go paralyzed. And my husband and my mom looked at me, and they said, you are going to faint, and they are going to have to do an emergency C-section. We need to get your energy up. You have been exhausting your body for now, X amount of hours. We need to either get an epidural or have a conversation with the doctor. And go figure, after finding, the doctor of choice at the end, right after going through all my stuff, he was not available. He was out of town that day. So he was not my delivering doctor. Yeah, I go figure. But like I said, you got to just go with the flow. And I was so upset because I told Sturgis I never wanted to do an epidural. I never wanted to do it. And it was that moment of, if I don't have an epidural, I know I'm going to have a C-section, and an emergency C-section, and what is better for me. And it was a decision that I had to make where I didn't want to have to ever make that decision, and I had to get an epidural, and I got an epidural at 8.5 centimeters. And I was so thankful I did, for many reasons, but I was so disappointed. I started crying because I felt like a failure. And I just remember, listening to the affirmations and listening to the thoughts behind it all, and going, you never know what's going to happen with your birth. You just have to go with the flow and just do what, and I knew instinctually it was the best thing for me. And what came to find out is her head, every time I had a contraction, it was on my spinal cord. And that's why I was having such
You're
severe
frozen.
Pains. Oh, am I frozen? Can you see me now?
Now, yes. Now I can.
Oh, can you hear me now? So
Yes.
her head, every time I had a contraction, was hitting my spinal cord. And so I was getting paralyzed every single time. So unfortunately, it wasn't that I couldn't handle the pain. It wasn't that I couldn't get through the labor. It was just her positioning was completely off. And when I decided to get the epidural, my nurse was so incredible. Her name was Kayla. She sat on her knees on the floor of the hospital because she knew that I needed to walk around and that I needed that for my body, that was the only way I could work, the baby through the birth canal. And so she sat there on her knees for an hour holding the Bluetooth heart monitor and following me with it every time. And I thought, what is going on? I can't do this. I'm only, 8.5 centimeters. I have to get help because I can't relax. And as soon as I had the epidural, the first thing that I did was I went into transcendental meditation and I went into a full meditation because it was the first time in like 14 hours that I finally was able to just breathe. And I knew I had this like out of body experience. And I've never even said this before, but I had this out of body experience of this is the last time I'm ever going to be able to be calm on my own without the responsibility of someone else, where I'm always going to have to listen to them to hear if they're awake. And I just went into a full meditation and went to give birth. And why I'm very happy now that I had the epidural, which I never thought I would say in a million years, was I started hemorrhaging after she was born and after I was sewn up, and they couldn't understand why. And they thought that there was possibly a piece of the placenta that was still inside of me. And so next thing I know, about 8 doctors rushed in with, why am I blanking? With an ultrasound, and they were looking at every part of my stomach, and they had, it's so like graphic. So if you are not into birthing, I'll probably give a warning for this, but, basically like up until like I would say mid arm, was the doctor's arm up inside of me, pulling clots out of my body because I just kept clotting. And they thought I'd have to have a blood transfusion. And there was no time to numb me. There was no time to give any pain medicine. That I was so thankful because I knew if I could get through the birth, that would be one thing. But what they were doing was a complete other thing that I felt even with an epidural. And I just was so thankful the whole time. I kept thinking, I'm so thankful that I met you, Alisha, and that I was taught hypnobirthing, because it put me to go, you know what, right now my focus is I just delivered this baby. As terrifying as what's going on right now, I need to not scare her. And so I am just going to stare at her, and I'm going to talk to her, and I'm going to have calm breathing, and we're going to just have this connection moment, this like skin on skin, mom daughter first time meeting moment, and have a conversation. And it really was so wild because I don't remember the first, I think, 3 weeks of the birth because I was in such a fight or flight mode of trying to be the best mom I possibly could be while healing and going through I had to have a DNC. There were just like a lot of things that happened afterwards. But I just knew in that moment, I need to focus and be in the present and be here to make her calm so everything else can be calm around me, even if there's chaos. And so that's why I am so just wanting to shout to the rooftops for people, even if they're not doing hypnobirthing, if they do hypnosis and some sort of breathing technique, it will cure all. It cures all. You heal yourself.
Well, when a baby is on a nerve or your spine on the back, it's really challenging. So you did the right thing by getting the epidural, and intuitively you knew that you needed an epidural for what was coming after your baby was born. So the hypnobirthing is not about medication or no medication. It's there if it's needed. And no one, in my opinion, gives birth incorrectly. So if a mom needs an induction or an epidural or a cesarean, if it's necessary, the health and well-being of mother and baby always comes first. And so what you did, your intuition kicked in, and you knew something wasn't quite right because you were doing everything all the techniques, you were doing everything, but something to have that kind of pain, that's when a baby is pushing on a nerve or the spine. And sometimes laying over the birth ball will move the baby off the back. There are some techniques, excuse me, in my opinion, again, where someone gives birth is up to them, wherever they feel the safest and the happiest. So whether it's a birth center, a home birth, a hospital birth, I would say that 95% of the parents that are doing hypnobirthing are in the hospital. In my current class, 2 are having a home birth, 1's at a birth center. So it's always different. So what I love about hypnobirthing, it'll work for home birth, a hospital birth, a birth center birth, a combination with the doula, without a doula, 2 mommies, a single mom. It works regardless. It's designed to work no matter what. And it's not about having a medication or not having a medication, because to have a positive experience and safety of mother and baby is the most important. And so you ended up having a phenomenal birth. Then it got very intense. Then it was taken care of. And then you had a beautiful experience connecting with your daughter and really focusing on her well-being. Because so often mothers will say, well, I went through this and this and this. And I'm thinking, so did the baby. So if mom's going through something, so is the baby.
Yeah.
So the fact that you made that decision to bring her into a calm, loving environment in your arms and Sturgis's arms is an indication of what a caring, conscious parent you are. And how much you wanted her to feel safe and happy.
Right. And that's all I wanted.
That's why she's so happy. That's why she's such a calm little one.
She's so happy and she's so calm, and it's so true. And I think that it's so scary, right? Because you're just like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? What is it? But it didn't matter at the time, because I just was like, I'm just going to focus. If I don't want the pain to get worse. And I know that if it gets worse, when I deliver her and that moment comes where they go, okay, breathe her out, I won't be able to do it. And I will be in so much pain that I wouldn't be able to focus on her, and I just wanted to make sure that she was the happiest that she possibly could be, and how it was. And I have to say, it was so, this is my like little woo woo, spiritual moment for you that I shared on Dr. Berlin's podcast when I was talking about my birth story. But the moment before I breathed out baby, the doctor came in who was on call. And she said, okay, this could take, maybe 2 hours, but we're going to start pushing. You're 10 centimeters dilated. It's time to go. And I was so lucky. I came in at the right time where they gave me the VIP, super fancy room number 2 or 1. I forgot what it was, at Cedars, floor to ceiling windows, gorgeous view of the Hollywood sign and all of the beautiful homes in the hills. It was incredible. And it was evening. It was 3 a.m. So that everything was glistening and beautiful. And she goes, okay, well, it's time to push the baby out. And as she said that, all the electric shades in the hospital room started going up and down, on their own, and no one was near it. And every nurse, there were 2 doctors in the room. They stopped. My mom, Sturgis, all of us, we looked and we go, oh my gosh. And the doctor turns to me and she goes, my dad comes to me through electricity as a spirit. And I said, my grandmother and my great aunt, they come to me through electricity. And we go, okay, this is so, and everyone was just frozen. And then they go, okay, let's get the baby out. And in 3 pushes, she came out. She was 1, 2, 3 and up. And I actually have 2 thoughts I'm going to tell you about this. The first thought was, afterwards, in my heart, my mom said to me, and I agreed, she goes, maybe Dr. Goldberg really was with us that whole time. And that was his sign. And it was kind of a moment where, whether that's true or not, it felt like his energy was there. And I felt very protected and safe, where I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I could cry right now thinking about it, because it was so beautiful, and it was so reassuring. It was this moment of like setting the stage before like the arrival of Lady. And it was beautiful. And it was just this touching, really peaceful, calming, lights. It was all beautiful in there. And it just felt like, here we go. Like, here's the show. Like, let's go. We're on Broadway, And then the second thing that I was going to say is the doctor who delivered Lady, who was phenomenal. And I never met her before, was so funny. She came in and she said, okay, so I'm so sorry. My boyfriend kept waking me up because my phone was going off and no one could do the night shift and they needed an extra doctor. So let's do this. I have to do a C-section first. So just keep your legs closed because you're really ready to go. And I'm not ready yet. I need to get this other emergency out first. And I was like, oh my God, oh my gosh. So she had come in, but she kept saying, okay, we're going to push, because she didn't see the sign that I was a hypnobirthing mom. And for those who do not know this, you don't say, contractions, it's surges, and you don't say push, you say breathe down. And it's just kind of a mindset. But it had been so ingrained in my mind from our course, from talking about it, from listening to the tapes, doing the affirmations, practicing with Sturgis, that it truly didn't matter what the doctor or the nurses said at that point, because I myself knew, okay, now it's time to breathe down. It's now to breathe baby out, and I think that it was just, I wanted to say thank you to you for being such an incredible, coach through all of it, that it didn't matter if someone came in and didn't know. And she wasn't being disrespectful. She literally was the emergency call and came in and didn't even see the chart. She was just like, I have 5 minutes to get this baby out, but it was so wonderful how, I felt like it was so ingrained in my head that I didn't need anyone to give me any prompts. I knew what to look for, and I knew how to get it, get baby out, get baby going, So it was just so wonderful.
What people don't know is that the body is already pushing on its own.
Yeah.
So moms don't have to do a thing. Less is more. The mom, the body, and the baby are doing all the work. So less, doing nothing, is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
And just loose and limp and relax, going into hypnosis or meditation, that's all we need. Because your body, mother's bodies in labor, are already pushing on their own. The muscles are pushing, the baby is assisting. So mother and baby's bodies together are working together for a beautiful birth.
Right.
So
I mean,
the babies know what to do.
It was so beautiful. And it was, really touching afterwards in the postpartum recovery room. There was, after 24 hours, I kind of walked around the room, the hall one time with Sturgis. I was in such incredible pain, like from the bleeding and the stitching and all this, that I was like, okay, but I need to exercise. They told me I needed to walk around, and I was, unfortunately, I had to have a Pitocin drip afterwards to get the uterus back up. And it was a lot. It was I would say after postpartum was way worse than the birth. That was a breeze compared to it, but it was really touching. There was another couple that was in the recovery, and we had ran into them walking through the hall, doing our steps. And she was very upset because, she had to have an emergency C-section, and she had planned to have a hypnobirth, and she, was given, had to be induced. She was given the Pitocin. Then they said, we can't deliver the baby. You're going to have an emergency C-section. The heart rate is dropping. Everything that she had said she wasn't going to do, and everything that she learned from, her teacher, of what you should be prepared for, kind of went out the window. And she had this really heavy heart about her and a heavy energy, like she had failed. And I just remember you always saying, you know, own your birth story or own your birth story. It's unique to who you are and it's what makes it special. And I told her, I said, you know, I'm a hypnobirthing mom too. I was like, mine did not go as expected. I never wanted to do an epidural. In fact, for a whole podcast season, I talked about how I was never going to get an epidural. I was not that mom, all the stuff. And then here I was, I ended up getting an epidural and I was very disappointed in myself, you know, during that moment. But how grateful I was because look at the outcome of what happened. And I said to her, I said, you know, you can't control what happened. You know, you can only put your best foot forward and you have to own it because your baby is here. Your baby is healthy. It's happy and it needs its mom. And you need to get yourself together and just own it because it makes you who you are and it's fabulous. And I was like, and it's, you know, you may have another baby and you can do that one, you know, without the epidural, you know, you can do that one however way. And it just was a reminder to me that, wow, we've all women, we are, we both gave birth on the same day and we're both feeling this exact same feeling of kind of this defeat. And I just wanted to be like, you know what? I'm feeling good right now. You're going to feel great next. And then you're going to tell another mom that they need to own their birth story because it's okay. Like we have to all be very empowered about this. So I thank you so much for teaching me that because I truly felt like prepared and no matter what the world threw at me at that moment, I knew I was going to be able to get through it and thrive at it because I was there. My new role was to be a mom and I was going to do it the best that I possibly could.
So the whole thing is flexibility.
Yeah.
So what I tell everyone many times is picture, visualize, imagine the birth that you want once a day for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then let it go. We have to be flexible and go with the flow. The babies and the divine have a lot to do with the process. So the more accepting we are, the more relaxed we are, the calmer we are. Like you started to go with the flow and handle things differently than you expected because you realized now is the time to make some very positive, effective decisions.
Yep.
So nothing was done to you. You were able to make educated decisions on what's best for you and your baby. And you ended up being just fine, and your baby is precious and in perfect health. And your husband, who was such a great support to you during labor, because the dads get to learn how to assist the moms and put the moms into hypnosis and keep them calm. And what's so beautiful is how Sturgis was massaging you.
Yeah. Well, and that was the whole, I mean, we look back at I was like laughing about it the other day, looking back at the massage as he's here. I'm talking about the massage of how you did the crazy eights on me. And you look back at the video and it's so funny to look at because everyone's like, what is he doing to her back? Like as I'm walking and like waddling, you know, with no shirt on, I've got my granny panties on. He's like doing this crazy eight thing on my back. But truly it was so, it was able to get me through to the next step. Like every surge that I went through, things like that were able to help. And I think that that's what I want to also share with the audience is how incredible it is, not only for me as the mother, but how important it was for him that he felt so prepared and that he felt like he could make any decision, say for knock on wood, God forbid, I wasn't aware and wasn't able to make a decision. He was able to do it because he felt prepared. It wasn't just for the mom. It wasn't just for the one giving birth. It's also for the other ones there. And we also had my mom read, you know, because my mom acted as my doula. And she read the hypnobirthing book. And then I had a whole, you know, packet of all the information that we went through. And I kind of taught her about that. I taught her about tapping because we did the tapping exercises as well. And, you know, so it's about making it, broadening it, just not just to use the individual, but those are amongst you in the community, you know, in your little community and going through with it. And it's truly has continued to help me through this moment. Now, I have a quick question. Is there any advice that you give moms after they had their baby, or parents after they have their baby, in regards to hypnosis or, breathing techniques? Is there any, thing that pops to your head that you would tell a new mom or a
To
new parent?
continue your hypnosis and meditation. If you're a meditator, do them both, because it's so rejuvenating, calming, and helpful for new parents. And babies love it.
Yeah.
So they can meditate on you. You can hold them and have them feel those wonderful endorphins and T cells and the theta waves and the calm brain waves. So I would say to get plenty of help.
Mm-hmm.
Postpartum depression quite often is lack of support, lack of sleep, lack of food. So the more help a new mom gets with food and rest and the house and everything, that's one of the most important things, that she's getting support. So it's not
Absolutely.
a luxury to have people come and massage you and feed you and take care of you, because moms' jobs, new moms, are to feed the baby, hold the baby, love the baby, eat, sleep, drink, eat, drink more. Because if you're breastfeeding, you need more calories, more fat, like almonds and avocado, and more fluids. So moms need the pressure taken off. And also I would recommend, when the time is right and you and your partner feel like, you know what, it'd be nice to go out, just the two of us, for an hour. So sometimes having a couple, a date for just an hour, a short time, or whenever parents are ready, it's really nice. And then as the baby's getting older, to maybe every couple of weeks to have a date night. And for you to have things that replenish your energy and your
Absolutely.
well-being.
Absolutely.
So the more things that are assisting in the healing, the better mother you can be, the happier your child is, the happier your relationship is. So with the parents. So calm parents, calm baby. Happy baby, happy parents. So the calmer we are, the calmer baby is. And that's putting out the foundation for your child for the rest of her life.
Right.
So
right.
the way you were during your pregnancy, the positive energy, and how supportive you are, and your husband, very, very involved, that creates a very stable, happy child. So as she's growing, the techniques that you've learned, plus being meditators and using hypnosis, that can be passed on to your daughter. So as I shared earlier, my first child would love me to meditate and say, "Mommy, meditate," and sit on my lap while I was meditating. So
that's so sweet.
continue doing your hypnosis. I had a phone call from a dad a couple years ago who said, it's 2 years after their baby was born. He said, "I'm still listening to the Rainbow Relaxation birthing track. Is that
I love the
okay?"
Rainbow Relaxation. Oh.
And so this is a dad. And he said, "Is it okay that I'm still listening to it?" I said, "Absolutely." And then he said, "Well, maybe I should do a hypnosis session for myself that's recorded so I can listen to something that's not about birthing." So we did, but I loved that for 2 years after the birth. And a lot of moms and dads will continue to listen to their birthing tracks.
Right.
I was doula for a mom that was also a doula, and she loved the Peace Sanctuary, which is one of the birthing tracks. And she was listening to that for a couple of years before she got pregnant the second time. So when she was pregnant the next time and I was her doula, I asked her what things she liked the most, what worked best for her. And she said the Peace Sanctuary. So I started to listen to that again and loving it. So what's so
Oh,
nice about the birthing tracks, they work throughout the pregnancy, they work throughout labor, they can be used indefinitely.
yeah. I mean,
And
they can.
and I love when a mom will do a one-on-one session so I can do a recording
Hmm.
specifically just for her. And sometimes it's for the dad. Sometimes a dad will call and will say, you know, I'm going to be a dad now. I want to quit smoking or drinking or
Right.
whatever. Or I just want to be a calmer human being so I can be a better dad. So, and then sometimes I'll work with couples as well.
Hmm.
So again, the more prepared parents are, the calmer they are, the happier everybody is, and the smoother things go. So my
Oh,
theory is calm dad or partner, calm mom, calm baby, calm birth.
and it's so true. I mean, we're so lucky. I mean, she was colicky for a little bit, but that has nothing to do with, the attitude of how we were, and it was something that it's like, okay, we're going to have to get through this. Let's figure out what the problem is. Where's the acid reflux coming from and why? What needs to change? It was like one of those situations, but over and above all, we're so blessed. She's such a happy baby and she's just loved and calm. And, she meditates with Sturgis and does the transcendental meditation and sits on his lap. And they do a deep hypnosis together. And, she and I do our own, our dancing. That is my hypnosis with her. And they're like, yeah. But I mean, it's true. And, cause when I would say for the first month postpartum, it was very difficult for me. I was in and out of, I had to go to the hospital after 10 days postpartum. I had to then go in 3 weeks and get a DNC. And I wasn't able to hold her for more than 10 minutes at a time because I was getting so lightheaded because I had lost so much blood and I was continually losing blood. So for me, it was so important that she was getting as much love and a much, calm and stillness as possible, because when she went down, it was really hard for me. I would just start crying and I knew that didn't have, I was so prepared for postpartum depression that I was expecting it. And, it still has not hit, which they say it can hit after you finish breastfeeding, but as of now in this moment, I have not had it. But I was so drained because I was physically like just failing inside and was trying as much as I possibly could to keep the positive going and not have her see that, and not have her think that because I gave birth and because I was taking care of her, I, wasn't the best that I possibly could be. But it was scary and it was really hard because I was nervous, every single day being like, when am I going to get better? Because every day it was so painful just to even use the restroom, and I was like, when
Here's
is
what
this
I'm
going to go away?
thinking. If a mom says to herself over and over, my body's healing twice as fast, twice as fast, that's the new mantra after giving birth.
I
So my
love
body's
that.
healing twice as fast, twice as fast. And it
Oh,
can
I love
also
that.
be, yes. So start using that, even though you're healed, if there's anything still not quite right, um,
Right.
or if it's
I
a
mean, I'm
spot,
not
my spine
100%
is,
healed yet. So that is
say it
something
again.
that I'm not 100% healed yet. So that is something that, I am going to say my body is healing twice as fast, twice as fast. I think that's great. I want every mom and dad and human to say that, because it's the power of using your voice, the power of using your voice and mind over matter.
And
Alicia,
your
I want
blood.
to, oh yeah, go on. So say that again.
And I was just going to say that your iron stores are being completed, and your hormones are all balanced, and everything is back to normal and healthy. So again, after giving birth, because you carried the baby for 9 months, then you birthed the baby, and now you're breastfeeding your baby. So your breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. So it's very important that you are extremely well taken care of. And when was the last time you had a massage?
I had a massage because I did belly binding, and I'm so excited because I'm going to be talking about that on the podcast. I did belly binding, and I ate my placenta. It was delicious.
Right.
It was in a capsule. But I would get a massage every other day, doing the womb work. Oh wait, hold on one second. Serge, can you shut that door for just a second or bring her here? I would do I would do the womb massaging and the full body massage with the woman who does the placenta encapsulation and that. So I did it about a month and a half ago, or I think about a month and a half ago was the last time. And I'm planning on getting another one very soon. But I'm telling you, the healing of the massage, just having someone work the blood flow of my whole body, it was magic. Magic.
You worked with Aaron Diggs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, very important. So many women get major benefits from ingesting their placenta because if there's any blood loss, it helps that. Any hair loss, it helps that.
Yeah. And I
Energy,
swear, I think that it helps with your postpartum depression.
Absolutely.
I truly believe that. I truly believe that it helped with my postpartum depression at that moment because I had so much blood loss. I was so depleted and I had no nutrients. And between that, and then I had another amazing company that I just want to give a shout out to that I met in my postpartum journey. It's called This Is Anya, and they do postnatal supplements and omegas and really just like recovery tonics and all of these things. Really, you have to nurture your soul and your body, and with soups, and you're right, the warm, and it's just, anyways, I could go on for days about the recovery.
Yes, warm foods are very important after giving birth.
Yes,
warm
very
foods
important.
are eugenic foods.
Yeah, no, very important. Oh my gosh, Alisha, this has been such a treat. I'm going to ask you my final question that I ask everyone on the podcast. What is your emotional support?
I'm a Kundalini yogi, so I love my yoga classes. I'm a yoga teacher, but I'm not teaching right now. So I'm passionate about doing yoga, so I never miss my Kundalini classes. Meditation, hypnosis, spending a lot of time with my family. I'm extremely close with my family, with my daughters and my son-in-laws and my grandsons, my grandkids. Last week, my older grandson and his girlfriend took me to dinner at Follow Your Heart.
Oh my gosh, cute.
He picked up the tab. My grandson picked up the tab. It was so lovely. God. I know.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I know family is the most important, right? I mean, it really puts everything into perspective on just life and everything that's going on around, just the importance of getting your support from your family. Yeah.
Friends and
chosen family. Yeah, chosen family. I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Alisha.